everybody. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to TCR Trinity Competitive Racing.
Well, TCR TJ is the Season 13 Golden Class Champion for Trinity Competitive Racing.
Oh, let's go, dude! Yes!
Jabbar on the podium! He's on it by a 10! Gentlemen, side by side through one. And Silent, and Seafreeze gets a half spin.
Let's fucking go!
Wheel bumping.
DRS enable, let's do it.
And Captain Blade battling it out for position. Captain Blade.
Ickle, what the?
The McChicken goes around and he also makes
Rewind down the front straight, oh my god.
I gotta check the heart rate.
Why do we do this? Because of nights like this.
Yo, welcome everybody to TCR Trinity Competitive Racing, and welcome to the Racing Debrief, TCR's podcast, where we combine the world of e-racing, sim racing, and TCR with real-life motorsports and Formula One. A true racing enthusiast. Listen, I didn't say the episode number because, quite frankly, it's been a little while since we've done one of these things, but I am your host, and we are back once again. Seafreeze here, and joined alongside me for this time a podcast episode, not a commentary, not yet anyways, but that starts in 2 weeks' time for our season opener, January 30th, and we'll talk a little bit more about next season and a little bit more of the, I think we're calling this the preface predictions for next season. This episode is just to let everybody know that, hey, we are still here and we do have a season coming up. And hey, by the way, it starts in 2 weeks, so go sign up, spread the word, and yeah, let's have a good season 17. But I am joined alongside Silver Class Champion, voice of TCR Camden, Luca. Welcome.
Hello. It's good to be back. We're dusting all of our dust off. Getting ready for season 17. It's been quite the eventful off season, I think, for both of us. I don't know if you want to get into your off season, but it's been eventful to say the least.
Oh yeah. Oh, at some point, yes. But you know, new year. I hope everybody had a good holiday. A little bit of a break as well. A little bit of a break from, you know, league racing, TCR, and also the game. I think a lot of people also took some time off from the game to kind of hit that reset button, which, you know, we've said it before, you know, we came off a little rough ending of last season attendance-wise. We had major changes in TCR, and for those who are new, definitely stick around. If you are returning, thank you. Let's try and share as much TCR stuff out as possible. We'll try and get some more sign-ups, try to gain that momentum towards next season. Just a little FYI, if you're watching on YouTube, I know we only post on YouTube this podcast, but some of you guys just listen. But if you're watching, the graphic is outdated, so we still have to update that, but we wanted to put something out there. We're not in season 16, we're in season 17, and we no longer have Platinum Class, Golden Class, and Silver Class, although we do still race on those days, Thursday, Wednesday, and Tuesday at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Just to reiterate, just quickly, how our series structure will be, and then we'll get a little bit more into drivers and expectations, all that good stuff, in just a few moments. But yeah, we're changing from 3 classes of F1 down to 2, so we have now the Challenger Series on Tuesdays. That'll be kind of our mixed assist entry-level series, sort of a mixture of silver and golden, so to speak, if you were to think of it like that. On Wednesdays will be our top series for F1. That'll be the Elite Series, and that's sort of a mixture, if you were to compare it from last season, between Golden and Platinum. It'll be racing line only, and that's on Wednesdays, 8:45. On Thursdays, we don't know how much coverage we'll have, whether it will be streamed and at what capacity, but we are starting to venture into iRacing, and that'll be our Super Formula series, which we'll be trying out on Thursdays, 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time, and once again, that's on iRacing. That starts 1 week later than the F1 series. So you see right here, lights out. January 30th, we'll start Challenger Series. January 31st will be the Elite Series, and then 1 week after will be the Super Formula Series on iRacing. They'll start their season, so that would be on February 8th. Also, just a few things on schedules. They are posted in the Discord. All the schedules there. Things to note, which is a little bit different on how we've been keeping track of the points. For all series, we're not counting every single race that you show. We're only counting an X amount of races of the driver's best finish results. So if you look at the F1 series, we have 14 races on the schedule. We're only counting the driver's best 12 races. So if you show to 14, we're not counting 2 of those races. So those would be your worst 2 or races that you missed. We're only counting driver's best 12 races from F1 series. For iRacing, Super Formula, there's only 12 races, so 2 less races, but we're only counting drivers' best 10 races. So there's 2 basically misses there. So just a little quick note for that. iRacing also is fixed setups. And the first 4 races follow the iRacing official schedule, and then after that, it's our own T-Share schedule, just because that's when the iRacing schedule stops, and they haven't announced the new season yet. So the schedule's there, and yeah, we're starting to pick teammates and car selections. We have a few seats left in F1 series. We have a bunch of seats in iRacing. You know, like I said, this is our first time venturing into iRacing for Super Formula and iRacing in general. So we're trying to get the word out that we are moving on to iRacing, not completely, just as an extra add-on series. So if anybody knows of iRacing drivers that might be interested, spread that out. Also for F1, we start in 2 weeks' time, and you know, we want drivers to be there, you know, from the get-go. So that's just a little bit of a brief synopsis. If you just tuned into us as a viewer, or you haven't seen any of us in a little bit of time, but yeah, there we have it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a different landscape from what we saw in season 16, but there's a time where things have to change, and I think it's going to be for the better, because there definitely is a market for iRacing, open wheel iRacing specifically, on Thursday nights, and I think it's going to be a slow start. We might not have every race broadcasted, but it's going to grow, and it's going to be good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of getting into some of the things that we're going to be looking for when it comes to drivers this season. I don't know if you want to start touching up on that.
Yeah, I think you know, this is the first season that we have this structure, so I think we don't really know what to expect. You know, we're going to see a lot of the same faces, but we're not really going to know what that mixture of a grid would look like, and performance based, you know, who's going to be where. For this season, you know, I think for the most part, if most drivers who raced last season, we kind of know where they're going to be, so it was sort of, you know, okay as far as placing the drivers. So I think, you know, the grids will be pretty evenly balanced for the most part. But yeah, I'm excited to see. I think Elite Series is, where my focus is at. We came off of a pretty dominant run from, was it 5-time now Platinum class champion of B-Tom, and he won 4 championships in a row. And he's not, as of right now, and I don't think he is, he's not going to be racing next season. So, if he's not going to be racing, then we're going to be crowning, in theory, a new top champion in TCR. So that, to me, is exciting. B-Tom had really great success, dominant performances in really since he came up in season 10, and now him not being a part of it will be a little bit weird. But I guess it is a little bit of a new era, a little bit of a different mixture of drivers. To me, that's really interesting. How that's going to play out.
I 100% agree. And the thing about B-Tom is not only did he win races and championships, but he was a part of a lot of last lap battles. That's something I remember from the last 2 seasons because, as you mentioned at the top of the show, I was the voice of TCR for season 15 and season 16, so I got to see all of those platinum finishes, and it felt like every race there was some sort of last lap battle, and B-Tom just happened to be in the thick of that. But I can guarantee you that there's going to be other people to step up and create that exciting racing. We still have Forzan. We know Forzan's going to be in some exciting battles. He's always, a hard racer, always goes for it. Silent is returning. He's always, up towards the front. I think it's actually going to be really competitive. Like you said, we're combining gold and platinum drivers from last season, but it's going to be a blast, and you guys are going to want to tune in for that on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, I mean, I also think since we are mixing kind of the grids, I mean, we're going to have a couple of people who moved up from silver will be an elite technically, which would be Zionical, and I think it might just be really him that moved up from silver. I'd have to double check.
Yeah,
but
I think you're right about that. But the thing with Zionical is that he really was a golden class driver as much of he was as a silver class driver last season. He finished up, let me double check. I think he finished up there in points because he ended up getting a win in the golden class while he went on to win.
He's good. P8 he is, I see.
The silver class championship. Yeah, P8 in the standings, which is pretty dang good for being a silver class driver.
Yeah, I mean, and a champion, a silver champion.
Yeah.
So, I think for me, what I'm going to be looking at is the drivers from Platinum who are going to Elite. And, there's not many of them. There's really 3 full-time drivers that most viewers and drivers will recognize, and that's Silent, as you mentioned, Forzan, and Professional. And what's interesting to me is these are all front runners. They've won races in Platinum. They haven't won a championship. Silent, Professional, they did win the constructors together. Professional runner-up 2 seasons in a row. I believe that was 14 and 15. And Silent was runner-up last season, season 16. And Forzan, I think, was 3rd last season. And he had a lot of issues, wheel-wise, penalties, that sort of thing. So I think those 3 will be towards the front. Professional had a off season though last season, but I think with this change in series, I think he'll be right back up there. And they'll be competing for the championship, but I think there's others that will be also in that mix, and that's going to be GTR Lion, Remsley, maybe KD.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those golden drivers that, they were practicing a lot. GT and Remsley teammates, they put the most amount of points on the board as a golden. Actually, as any team pairing, they put the most amount of points up in a single season for TCR. That's GTR and Remsley. And they put a lot of practice together. I'm assuming they're going to be teammates again, and they're going to be threats for constructors, but I also think that practice time will carry over to this season, and they're going to be right up there in the top 5. And I'll also throw KD in there, KD 1997, who commentated a lot of the Golden Class last season. He'll be actually able to drive now for the Elite Series, so he'll be on the grid, and I think he'll be right up there in the conversation. So there's a nice mixture. Those 6 drivers: Professional, Silent, Forzan, KD, Remsley, GTR Lion, and I'll
That's
even
7.
go. No, that's 6.
That's 6? Count it again. Maybe I'm wrong.
What do we get? No, well, I'll add one more, and that'll make 7. That'll be Zionical.
Okay. All right.
That's
Maybe
my
math is
favorite
wrong.
7.
It's been a while since I've taken an algebra class, so. Yeah, real quick, I just want to shout out KD because he stepped up last season and did a really good job commentating the Golden Class. And I was going back the last couple of weeks because I have been working on a Season 16 highlight recap video, which will be up tomorrow night, Wednesday night. So go and check that out once it gets posted. I was going back and looking because I was driving in the Golden Class last season, so I really didn't get a chance to really watch much of the races, but KD, man, he put the excitement into the race. The racing itself was good, it definitely was good, but KD did a phenomenal job, and like you said, I'm stoked that he's able to race with us on Wednesdays. And yeah, if he's able to race, if he shows up every week, he'll definitely be up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing as well that I don't think will be, I guess it could benefit, I think it benefits everybody, but I also think it brings the competition closer together, and that's how the points are going to be getting scored. So everybody gets 2 pretty much off races throughout the season. So whether that's you can't show up for a certain race and you don't get any points, or you have a bad finish, you finish outside the points, or you DNF, and you only have 1 or 2 of those races, well, that's good, because then it brings you back in as far as how those points are getting scored, because it's the driver's best 12 races out of 14. So if usually the champion is always up front, leading races, but they also show up every single race. So if you have like B-Tom, he showed up every single race. If Professional or Silent, if they missed 1 race, that's a pretty big disadvantage, because B-Tom's always going to be there every single race. He's always there for the entirety of the season, and also when he shows up, he's going to have a good amount of points in the bag. So now, if you were to throw away 2 of B-Tom's races, it brings it on kind of a little bit more a level playing field, because I do believe last season Professional and Silent, they both missed maybe 1 or 2 races. I'd have to double check for sure, but that'll bring in anybody, and the points will be a little bit closer all throughout the grid, and at least that's the hope.
Yeah. Well, I think the interesting thing about that Seafreeze, is that yeah, it's going to even the playing field, but I think your results have to be even better than what they usually are.
Yeah.
Because you're having people taking their 2 worst races and completely erasing it. So now the expectations are even higher to where you really can't DNF. You really got to finish in the podium every week if you want to be up there for the championship. So I love the fact that we're doing this, though, because I think it is a little unrealistic for most people to be able to show up every week. Because think about it, we've always done 14 to 15 races,
Yep.
right? And we typically do that in a 16 or 17 week span. That's tough for any league, for any person to commit to that. And I really respect people, who are able to do that, who put the time to show up to TCR every week. But yeah, now that we're taking the 2 races, the 2 worst races, and eliminating them, it's going to change things. I think you're going to see people's driving styles get a little different. This will definitely change things.
And also the other thing is the swing as far as the championship points go throughout the season will change too, because if we're counting the best 12, at first we'll be starting to count all the points. But once we get towards the end of the season, people might be jumping all over the place, because when we get to like round 13, 14, we're not going to be counting every race. We're going to be picking, like we said, the best 12. So for the first 12 rounds, we're counting every race. And then those last 2 rounds really dictate what rounds are we actually counting for each individual driver. So the points will have a pretty big shuffle towards the end of the season. So you might be up towards the championship, and then all of a sudden you get to round 13, 14, it might shuffle a little bit. So I think it's a different mindset in a championship for, to go for a championship, because you have to kind of look at everybody's season, or at least those close to you in the championship, and kind of see, all right, is this driver, how many performances do they have to, and kind of take all that into consideration. All right, how many points will he gain if this race comes off versus this, if he gets this finish, what does that do to the picture in the championship? So in hindsight, you just want to show up as much as you can and have the best result, and usually that does good for the championship. But you also have to look at it with the new rules in play. That'll have a little something to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then as far as Challenger goes, I know we mentioned Elite a little bit, and as we mentioned, once we get the full cars and rosters, we'll do the poll like we always do, and get a little predictions throughout the league. But Challenger Series, I think you'll see a lot of the same faces from those who were in the Silver class, and that'll pretty much carry most of the series. Zionical will be moved up to to Elite now, so he's not going to be taking a lot of those races. And then we'll see who else is up there. I think there was some good performances. Some drivers joined mid-season, so to speak, and I'm looking at it now. We'll see if we get a full season out of some of these drivers, like Bulldog Bazaar. He was pretty quick at the beginning of the season. Didn't really show up to a lot of races, but can he put a full season together? I like XD Champ. I think he's pretty good. Speedin'. I think they joined a race or a couple races in to last season, so so Pilot Pants is really quick. Some guy, D-Swish, he'll be there as a full-time driver this season, not as a reserve, even though as a reserve last season,
Yeah,
he really showed up every race.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely took the role of reserve and kind of erased it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, besides those guys, we have returning drivers, F1 Nerd and Shabar. They'll be teaming up this season again, going for yet another Constructors' Championship, and they're going to be quick. You know, they were quick last season, but F1 Nerd came really close to getting Zionical.
Yeah.
And he got better as the season went on. Zionical won most of his races early on in season 16, and F1 Nerd won most of his in the back half of the season. So, yeah, definitely watch out for those two.
Yeah, and also we have returning driver of Speedy Gunner. So
Yeah.
that's going to throw a little wrench into the plans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's always looking to put up a good show. He's out there on the track.
And this is interesting. We might have, I don't know how the teammates will go, but we have a Speedin and we have a Speedy.
Oh. I am messaging them right now, telling them to team up.
Yeah.
That is perfect. They have to be teammates.
The only other driver we need, we have Speedin, Speedy, we need Speedsta. Hoorah, shout out to Speedsta.
Now, that is the Trinity Competitive Racing.
Oh, yeah. That's the trifecta. Speaking of which, right around this time, 7 years ago, you know what happened?
I'm going to guess that there was some league called TCR that got founded.
Yeah. Yeah, just
Wow.
about like that. You're like a mind reader. 7 years
know.
ago, everybody. Just
It's
around
almost like
now.
I knew that. Almost like I knew that.
Almost as if you knew. Almost.
7 years, man. I remember. So
Round
I
one.
was
Do you know what the
here-
first round was? What track?
Oh gosh.
Fun
I wasn't
fact.
here for season 1, so China.
Wow, wow, wow.
Oh no.
Nope.
What was it?
Well, hey, I'll do this for those listening. We'll do a little bit of a game. What was the first round of the first season in TCR? What track was it? I'll give you a little bit of a hint. It was on F1 2016. So only those, only those tracks.
Okay. Should I say what it is? Because I think I have an idea as to what it is.
We'll do it like, was it the Wiggles, Blues Clues? Right? They ask the question, and then they'll give the answer later. So here we go again. Hey, guys! Everybody listening?
Yes, Sea Freeze.
Yeah, there you go. What was the first round of the first season in TCR?
Oh, I know.
Okay. Go ahead, Camden. What is it?
It's Malaysia.
No!
No. Oh, well, now we gotta redo that. What was it?
It was Brazil.
What? Okay. All right. I was thinking more of like because Malaysia kind of went extinct from F1
Oh,
around
right.
that time, so
No, I was
Okay,
I was just saying it was on 2016 because there's a lot of new tracks since then. So
oh,
you know,
okay, I got you. Yeah.
can't say Vegas and you know you can't be correct with that or Miami.
I thought you were gonna lead that. I thought you were gonna lead that up to be like, and who won the first race?
Oh, that's a good
Was
one
it
too.
Sea Freeze? Was it somebody else?
Nah,
Was it you?
everybody knows the answer to that. Of course, I won the
It was
first
you.
race.
Of course. Yeah. See, that's why you brought it up.
Of course, I won the first round of the first season. Hey, I even did one better. I won the championship that season.
Yeah, that's sounds rigged to me, but
Hey, a little bit, but hey, I must have rigged it. I had to rig it 3 times though, you know, to make it even. 3-time platinum class champion here.
yeah, and then we started to rig it for B-Tom.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think I still have the most wins, but he has the most championships. But I'll have to double check that after last
so
season.
it balances out.
Yeah, he could have more championships. I had more race wins.
There you go.
What do you fancy?
Yeah. So I was here in season 3 for, I think, 4 races. And then I took a 9-season hiatus and came back full-time in season 12. So that's why he's quizzing me, ladies and gentlemen, because I basically was not around for the majority of TCR's history up until the last couple of years.
Damn, where's my 9-season hiatus? I need
It's
one of
right
those.
now.
Yeah,
You're going through it.
a little bit with the broken arm. I'll
There we go.
I'll take a few seasons off.
Yeah, the cat's out of the bag. That's what I was referring to earlier when I said that Defreeze had a very eventful off season.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I now have a titanium plate in my arm, but I wish it was a platinum plate.
I like that.
I wish it was platinum, but I will refer to it as a platinum class. Platinum metal plate in my arm.
There you
But
go.
I'll be back shortly. I'll be back on the grid. And let's talk about iRacing a little bit, because that's something that's new. And just want to give it a little bit of time there. When we just mentioned, our first season in TCR many years ago, and we're still, doing things in TCR, 7 years later, which is great, and we ventured on to iRacing a lot, and we're going to do it a lot how we did it back when TCR first started. When we first started, we didn't really do, we didn't do commentary. The stewarding was very minimal. It was more of a organic, fun atmosphere. We all did our practice and did take it seriously, but it was more of a nice community. We practiced together, we raced together, and then we did our league race. So it was a nice group of guys that we raced for the first few seasons, and that's what morphed into what TCR was with what we have today. But with iRacing, it's a pretty big jump, and we're not gonna we're gonna take it slow, see how it is, see what works, recruit along the way, and over time we'll try and morph that into something organic, to where we have a nice competitive grid that will have a certain amount of drivers show up, and we have streams and whatnot. And the plan is to get a nice sized grid and to do the commentary for Super Formula. But a lot of the drivers who signed up are drivers who are already in TCR, and they also had iRacing, which is a good start. But we need to try and find new drivers that aren't even in TCR. They really didn't know what TCR is, and we can get those drivers in. So at first it's going to be a learning curve. It's fixed setups. So for that, we don't have to do much setup related. We're just trying to learn the cars, learn the tracks, get up to pace, and try to do wheel-to-wheel racing with others. It's a completely different animal than what we've seen all these years on F1. So we're gonna slowly venture into iRacing and see how it goes. But I kind of like the aspect that it could be a little bit more of a relaxed environment to start the season, because it's new for most of the grid. So I think it'll be pretty fun. Maybe a lot of us can practice together, be in a party, and start things off good. We have a nice track selection as well, so we're going to a lot of different tracks that we haven't been to because they're not on the F1 schedule. And I've always said the opportunities and ideas are kind of endless as far as what we're able to do on iRacing, because we could easily create more series of different cars and different days. And since there's no game release, iRacing's out. We could pretty much race series and schedules and seasons whenever. I know for F1 we do pretty much 2 seasons per game cycle, but there's a lot of off time in between the F1 seasons. Maybe we do a small iRacing series in between to cater to the iRacing community in a different series to offer at least something. And iRacing has a nice little league feature that we're using, and most leagues use on iRacing. Keeps track of the points for you, and there's really not much manual points labor work that is required for the F1 series, so it makes it very easy to set up everything, even from a lobby's perspective. For those who don't know, we don't really have to create a lobby. The lobby's created, and then at the time that you create it for, kind of schedule it for, the lobby's already up. You join it and it starts pretty much all by itself. So it'll be a nice smooth race day. So hopefully we get a few more sign-ups for Super Formula and possibly commentators. We are looking for commentators for iRacing and for Elite Series particularly. But if you want to be a co or a main for any of them, let us know. We're looking for stewards too, any creative help, officials, moderators. If you have an idea and you want to pitch it and you want to help out for TCR in any way, let me, Camden, know, any other officials, write a ticket, a suggestion, and we'll be happy to look at it and try and create it, make it happen. But yeah, I have no expectations for iRacing. I think it's just going to be a lot of fun, and just like we did 7 years ago when we started, there weren't expectations. We showed up, we had fun, we were competitive, and yeah, we had some nice racing, and it was fun.
There was a word that stood out to me that you just said about a minute ago.
Oh yeah?
Creative. I think that's something that we could definitely get with iRacing is, we have the Super Formula series this season, but we could always branch off and do other things. That's one of the benefits of iRacing, is that it's not just open wheeled. I mean, we could do a NASCAR series, we could do a GT series. Like there's a lot of different avenues we could go on based on what people want to do and where the interest is at. And at the same time, we still keep our 2 F1 tiers on the F1 games, and the games will keep coming out every year. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the season, Seafreeze. I think this will be a good change. Things will be a little bit different, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and since you did say creative, being creative with iRacing, just recently, iRacing re-signed the license for the IndyCar license. So that is something we're definitely going to be looking at, is to do IndyCar racing. I know we announced Super Formula, and Super Formula is a really, I had the chance to race the Super Formula car on iRacing. It's fun, to say the least. It's a little bit of a handful, oversteer, understeer. You don't know really quite where the limit is, but that's a fun series from F1 to Super Formula. It's going to be similar to what we are used to on F1. I think the racing product will be pretty spread out, so there won't be much. It's not going to be like the F1 game and the F1 series where the racing is going to be, everybody's going to be in a DRS train and people are going to be passing each other on the straights with the battery and everything like that. But you will have some battles, but it'll be a little bit more spread out. But IndyCar is something I'd love to do. If the license was maybe a few months ago when we were deciding this, it could have been a possibility that's where we started out on. But we were too close to the season start. We didn't want to change anything right now. And who's to say we can't do both? Who's to say we can't do Super Formula and then IndyCar as well? And like you mentioned, NASCAR is another avenue that I would like to go down. There's a huge market for that. And that's something we can definitely go down. You know, TCR is mainly North America based. So when you go to iRacing, NASCAR's huge in North America, IndyCar as well. So that makes sense for us to do a couple different series. And iRacing's a great simulator, and it just works. So for those who are maybe just getting iRacing, already have had it, if you're experienced in it and want to help out, especially with like the league creation and recruiting, we'll definitely need it. And as much as you guys are, you know, motivated and excited, and you know, if you guys want to do certain things with iRacing, let's do it. There's really no, you know, set direction. So let's see where it goes. Let's have some fun, and you know, let's get some help along the way, and let's mold this into what we want to mold it into, and whoever's going to be a part of it will be a part of it, right? So and as you said, Camden, we're always going to have the F1 series. The games will keep coming out each season, and to be honest, in the next, well, 3-4 months, I would say we'll be getting more info on the next game. And yeah, I'm excited for the next season. And yeah, there's really not much more to say. I mean, we just got to pick the cars, the teams, and in 2 weeks' time, we'll have either you or me to start the stream for the commentary.
Yeah, we'll both be there. I think that's set in stone, is that it's going to be the dream team commentating. I almost said silver class. Oh my gosh.
There'll be a few slips.
Oh, 100%. The first, that should be an over-under thing, okay? First race. How many times does Camden and Seafreeze say a silver class? That'll be a bet.
I forget, to be honest, because we didn't start the season, and we did come up with the series names. I forgot what our series names were called because we had so many different options. I forgot what we chose.
So, the Challenger series will be in 2 Tuesdays from now. So in 2 weeks, Seafreeze and I will be in the booth for that. And I'm assuming we'll have another podcast episode next week, which will be the official, actual season preview. We'll have all the rosters set by then. We'll have predictions from the Discord to go over. We'll go over championships. That'll be a fun episode. So make sure to tune in next week, because we're not going anywhere.
Damn right. But yeah, hope everybody enjoyed. I think we're going to leave it there. Short and sweet. And tune in. This podcast will be out on Tuesday. Tomorrow, which would be Wednesday night, we'll have the highlights video from season 16. Camden Luca put a lot of effort into it. I'm excited to see it. I have not seen it yet. So I'll be looking forward to that. Make sure to give it a big support on YouTube. Likes and comments, share it out. Let's use that momentum and you know, all that time that Camden spent putting into that video. Let's share it out and give it some love, and hopefully that'll you know, help with a few extra sign-ups towards you know, next season. The podcast episode will be out, for another one will be out next week. I'm thinking we might do a preseason test or test race next week as well, if we have all the rosters set, just to kind of get the cards out on track, make sure the game's still working.
Yep, get all the dust off.
And then like you said, in 2 weeks we'll have the actual start. And then 3 weeks will be the iRacing, so we get an extra week for iRacing to recruit. But other than that, that'll be it. So make sure to follow TCR on all socials. Join the TCR Discord server, where we are the most active. Sign up for Season 17. And until next week, it's been Camden Luca. It's been Seafreeze. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for listening.